Suppose we want to represent a lion in JavaScript. With our existing understanding of JavaScript, we might do something like create a variable called lion that we assign an object to which contains the various properties of concern for this lion object. There's nothing inherently wrong with this approach. However, what happens if we also want to represent a fox in our program? Now, we've created two variables and defined two separate functions that contain the same properties. In essence, we've repeated ourselves. It would be great if JavaScript provided us a way to create objects that contain the same properties without having to repeat that object definition. The good news is, JavaScript allows us to do exactly that using something called prototypes. Prototypes consist of two parts. The first is the constructor definition. A prototype constructor is simply a function. By convention, we name the function with a capital first letter to indicate that it's a constructor definition. In this case, we pass in two parameters, species and noise, and we assign them to this object's species and this object's noise property respectively. So what is the object that this is referring to? The answer is we haven't created it yet. That's the second part of JavaScript prototypes, to instantiate a prototype. And we construct a new prototype using the new keyword. The new keyword tells our program to construct a prototype of the particular object we specify. In this case, I've told the program to create two new objects in accordance with the animal constructor. The first is going to be assigned to that lion variable I declare, and it's going to set that object's species property to Panthera leo and its noise property to rar. Then I declare a fox variable and I construct a new animal object according to that animal prototype's constructor function. I pass in vulpes vulpes as its species, which gets assigned to that particular object's species, and then I pass in a question mark to be assigned to the noise it makes, because of course we don't know what sound a fox makes. And finally, I log my two new objects to the console. Let's go to the browser to see what happens. And we see that it logs two objects that are instances of that animal prototype. That's pretty cool. We can define prototypes. We can essentially define a blueprint of particular objects that we want to create multiple but unique instances of, and then just simply construct new instances of those objects throughout our program. This prevents us from having to repeat ourselves in defining those objects in terms of both their methods and properties. But we're not done yet. We can actually change and add properties and methods of our prototype objects in our program. Let's go to the next section to find out how.